In this very special episode of Lucha Underground, all champions are in action in an epic 8-person tag team match. Plus, Rey Fenix fights in the temple, OTM return to in-ring action, and we see what happened when Mil Muertes went to collect the Gauntlet of the Gods. This is episode 23 of the revival of Lucha Underground, and the 150th episode in Lucha Underground history, 150 times around the temple. And El Jefe the Undertaker kicked us off, and he was in deep thought when he was approached by a 6'3" stud in a suit who introduced himself as Mr. Richard Holliday. Undertaker shook his hand and asked him who he was, and Holliday sort of ignored the question. He said it's clear that Lucha Underground has been on fire since El Jefe took over the reins, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. But the thing about fires is, they sometimes burn the whole building down, and if that happens, that's also El Jefe's fault. Holliday said that he was here in the temple to offer his support to El Jefe, which Undertaker didn't seem to want, but with Samoa Joe out and Phoenix Dark joining Dario Cueto's monsters, he could use all the help he can get. Bravo and Rayo are beloved by the fans, and they hated the beating that OTM put on them. The vicious big men have been fed a couple of tag teams now, and they've been dominant, but this was an excellent outing from all four men. OTM had some help from the Pope, but even without him, they looked like they could rip Los Americanos' heads off at any point. Eventually, after another distraction from Pope, they hit their suplex into spinebuster combo and picked up a big win. OTM were mid-celebration when a familiar music hit, and we got the return Prince, Apollo of Lagos, and Panther Ali. They stomped to the ring and then brawled with Bronco Nima and Lucien Price, which was an even fight until Pope launched forward out of nowhere with a coin sock, and he cracked it off Prince Apollo's face. Apollo hit the mat with a thud as OTM and Pope got out of there, leaving Ali crouching over his partner and calling for help. In the woods, with the Gauntlet of the Gods behind him in a cage, we saw Lucha Underground legend Vampiro sitting at a table and talking to Mil Muertes. He told Mil that Dario Cueto is a liar and he can't revive Katrina, and he has other plans for the dangerous Gauntlet. The veteran former announcer doesn't know what yet, but it scares him, and he told Mil that if he stays aligned with Dario, Matanza and Rey Fenix, it'll end badly for the man of 1,000 deaths. Mil just put his hand out and Vampiro looked resigned to giving the gauntlet to him, but before he did, he reminded Mil that the glove has, in the past, consumed the fighter wearing it. It might give you enhanced powers in the short term, but in the long term it strips you of your humanity and everything you cared about. Mil didn't seem to care about any of that. Then Vampiro let him know that Dario is the one who put Matanza and Antonio Cueto under the temple. Now he's killed his own father. He asked Mil if he can do that to his father, what he thinks Dario would do to him once he's done with it. And we cut away. Back to the in-ring action, and Natty has been continuing her search for a protege or two, but she won't want Ivy Nile to be under her and her husband TJ Wilson's learning tree. Nile used the Creed brothers multiple times to hide behind here, and Natty didn't respect that at all. The low-key legend ended up slapping Brutus, which the crowd absolutely loved, before finally tapping Nile out with a sharpshooter. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, Vikingo has goaded Lola Vice and Mike Santana into attacking him, and even helped Dominic Mysterio beat Santana, and it has led to Dom catching a stray elbow from Santana, and then last week, Vikingo attacked Lola and Santana, and Dom made the save. However, when he did, he dropped Vikingo onto Santana's head, and they collided badly. Provided that they're both cleared, these four will all compete next week in a fatal four-way match. The winner will get a shot at Chad Gable's Lucha Underground title. Backstage, Lucha Underground Tag Team Champions Ethan Page and Chelsea Green were walking towards a door, ready to meet their scheduled tag team partners for tonight's 8-person tag team main event. They knocked, and then they walked in, and were equal amounts shocked, delighted and annoyed when they found Dragunov and Rey Mysterio sat waiting for them. Their opponents tonight will be the Lucha Underground champion Chad Gable, who pairs with the Lucha Underground Trios champions, the Cartel. It was Ring Rats time next, and the badass punk session band, complete with trumpets and violins, got the crowd fired up and ready for our next encounter. Very much good guy versus bad guy. Elio Lafleur was almost sacrificed to the gods a number of weeks ago by Dario Cueto's brother Matanza, and he's been struggling with survivor's guilt as Carlito saved him and took his place. Tonight he clearly wanted to get revenge for that incident over Dario's newest recruit, Phoenix Dark, and this match of the night brawl was back and forth and could have gone either way. But Phoenix Dark had some help from Dario at ringside, and his distraction of Elio led directly to the Mexican Muscle Buster and a pin. In a scene very similar to a few weeks ago, El Grande Americano was stood over Bravo and Rayo Americano, but this time we could just about make out Dr. Wagner stood in the background. Was he controlling El Grande in some kind of way? El Grande raised a fist again but pulled it back at the last second as Dr. Wagner sloped away behind him. Back in his office, El Jefe, the Undertaker, had Richard Holiday sat with him, and he announced another Fatal 4-Way number 1 contenders match for next week, but this time for the tag team titles. It's going to be the Creed brothers versus the Clowns versus Wild and Del Toro versus the returning Ali and Apollo. Holiday nodded and looked impressed with the boss. This main event match featured 8 of the best in-ring performers in Lucha Underground, so it was no surprise to see it receive a very high rating, and the crowd were white hot throughout. With all 6 champions in the company in action, it was surprisingly Rey Mysterio who spent the longest time in the ring, isolated from his partners and his friend Dragunov. Chad Gable was directing traffic for a while, but the cartel didn't take kindly to his assertiveness and they began not listening to him. It led to a bit of a miscommunication and Ray tagged Ethan Page in. The crowd erupted at the hot tag and the momentum soon swung into the fan favourite's favour. Dragunov was the star though. After great work from Ethan and Chelsea, he hit his H-bomb on Angel Garza and looked to close in on victory. But he didn't see a blind tag to Chad Gable, who slammed Dragunov into the corner to land Chaos Theory and pin the fiery fan favourite. Somewhere near the temple, Dario Cueto was sat in his warehouse to close out the show. He had a makeshift desk and chair. A nearby door then burst open. Dario Cueto was shocked to see Mil Muertes walk in, and the man of 1,000 deaths dropped the Gauntlet of the God's glove on his dusty desk. A big smile crept across Dario's face. 2 down, 1 to go. They've collected the heart of a former Lucha Underground champion, they've collected the Gauntlet of the Gods, and now all they need is the last breath of a dying man or woman inside the temple. And then they can revive Katrina. So let me know in the comments, with one last item to gather, Dario Cueto grows ever closer to his revival ritual. But will he be a man of his word and revive Katrina, or is he playing a dangerous game lying to Mil Muertes? And join me next time, where we have 2 Fatal 4-Ways to determine the next shots at the tag team titles and the Lucha Underground title. Thanks so much for watching. Now make sure to like, comment and subscribe for free so you don't miss an episode. It'd be great to hear from you.